to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? I've got two guests today on the Unpodcast. Over here, we have Ray from Ray Kits Decals. If you haven't heard of that company, we're going to be talking about that. And then we got this guy down here, Joe. He's Ray here in North America, because Ray, you happen to be way over there in jolly old England, or where are you?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands. See, look at how I don't do any research. You're way over there. Huh?
Neither do I.
So this is going to be an interesting show. If you guys don't know about Ray's Kits Decals, I think they're providing a great thing in our hobby that we have been kind of missing. There's been a few companies that would come and go that take care of decals for cars that a lot of us want to build, because most decal companies seem to like really focus on race cars. These guys are doing the factory graphics for, I think every car that ever was made in Detroit, right? Seems like you guys are doing
of them.
And so, I mean, and some stuff that, man, I don't know where you pulled it out from, but like I got a set of decals.
Neither do I.
Yeah, I got a set of decals that I was kind of, it was the first set of decals I got from you that were something for something totally different, but you had added into it something that now is working great for a project I'm working on now. That is hush, so I can't talk about it. But it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that these decals were in there to do a model that absolutely doesn't even come close to even existing. But yeah, they're working out really cool for me. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited to have these guys on. I think this is a great thing that they got going. And if you're a muscle car modeler, I heard there's a guy called that. I think he's gotten your decals, hasn't he? Muscle car model. Yeah. So I know he's done. And a couple other guys. You guys popped up. Me, I'm not bothering with you, but yeah. So
I'll leave. I'll get up and leave now, right?
Okay. I got. I think no. I'm actually building a couple of things with your decals right now. Hopefully one day I'll finish them and it'll become a video. But yeah, just wanted to bring these guys on. I think you guys, if you haven't heard about them, seen them on the Facebooks, this stuff is really great to have in our hobby. We needed it, and it's a great hole being filled. So now I've blawed. I think I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to have you guys learn a little more about these guys, and we'll talk about what they're doing. So, well, first I'm going to go to Neal. You're the guy you're the guy over there that you're the artist.
Yeah.
And you obviously, from what I see in the background, built a couple models in your life, right?
A couple, I want to say about 100 for the last 7 or so years. Not all too long. But...
Oh, and you are located over there. It would be there for me.
Over in Europe, in the Netherlands.
Very interesting. So that's where, for us US guys, that's where Joe comes in. He's the North American distributor.
He's my hookup.
And you have been, Joe, you've been being a heavy presence online, and you've been starting to go to a lot of shows, and you've been, you're selling the heck out of these things, aren't you?
Yeah. It's amazing how fast they are jumping off the shelves. But it's been great product. I got into this because I got my first sets and I went crazy over them. I'm like, if I like these so much, there's going to be a lot of them. Want these. And I got a lot of modeling friends all over the country that I'm like, I want to help get them these decals too.
Yep, very good. Thanks for doing that. That was a heck of a, you put a little risk in there. It was an investment, but I'm glad to see that it's working out for you, because it is something that we've needed. Now what's interesting, Neal, the fact that you're in the Netherlands, but your primary thing is you're doing American muscle cars, American cars, really, because there's a lot of them that are just the graphics for any American car. I mean, any American car.
Yeah, I love being told that by Americans that how the hell does a Dutch guy who is only 31, who has been around for 30 years less than the actual cars have been, know
Yes.
more of the vehicles that I've owned, driven, and worked with? And I
Yeah.
just say, I don't know. It just kind of happened. It
Well,
just kind of came on my path.
Well, from what I understand, actually, the classic American cars are very popular in that part of Europe,
Yep.
and there are quite a bit of them there, aren't there? Isn't there?
Specifically in this country, around I want to say anywhere between 73 and 78, when the oil crisis hit you guys and us as well. We were also part of the OPEC list. Yay!
Yeah.
But yes, teamwork. But a lot of American gas guzzlers got exported over here, cents on the dollar, because to us, when we, like, my dad had a 73 Chrysler New Yorker that was, it's just bigger than a house over here. It's just peak Americana. You come with this big behemoth, this boat of lead and metal that does, was it about 4 miles to the gallon? Whereas our little European cars at the time were already pushing 25. It's just fun. You put an LPG tank on it, and it's just, you rag it. It's good old fun. And back then they were everywhere, but as I said,
Really? Wow.
They were treated with the least respect imaginable. But to us, it's just about as Alabama as it gets. Get in the car with a big block and no comfort and just start tearing up the road.
Oh, awesome.
Everything with a bad mileage kind of came over on a boat.
At one point. That's interesting. I've never heard that story about it. That makes total sense. That's interesting. So what got you, let's go to way back when did you start building model cars? What got you in? Obviously you love these cars, so you started building models of them.
That's a good one. I want to say as a teenager, a couple times here and there. It's a more complicated puzzle, but really to start painting them and trying to do some more involved work on them, I want to say 2017, so about 6 years ago. Not too long ago. Yeah, it's been fairly recent.
Geez, so you just came into the hobby, and man, yeah, you did. You just saw a need, and bam, you started doing this. That's pretty cool.
I just never really liked what the factory offerings were, because there was a lot of old NPC stuff being re-released at the time, and they were like the equivalent of like $50 over here.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I'm investing, at least I want to make something that doesn't just look like what's on the box.
Yeah.
And I found Keith Marks. I figured I'm going to make some really nice things now. And next thing you know, I came across a bunch of models I wanted to make that Keith Marks had no decals about.
Yeah.
Like my very, very first decal set, the Dodge Aspen from 1980.
You're kidding me.
That's where it began. That's where it picked up. Just a bunch of side stripes for an ugly old Plymouth convert.
Nah.
Old Buzz Duster kit.
Yeah, I happened to just get a set from Joe of because I had one, was the 77 Valari Roadrunner. I had one. I have a couple of the kits, and I've been wanting to build a model of my old car.
For every set that I've got a correlating kit sitting around right now that at one point hopefully won't be treated like this anymore, and I build it.
Yeah.
But I just got, much like your backdrops, mountains of kits that will never see the light of day.
That's the joy. Wow, you just started 6 years. I mean, this is just a tiny little piece, but I mean,
I imagine I got camera.
1988 is when the madness started for me. So I've had some years doing this, and I'm like, you see in the movies that crazy guy who's into books, and you go into his apartment and there's stacks of books and all over and stuff like that. That it's models and kits. You come in my room and you got to kind of weave through the maze of stacked model kits about a hip high that are on the floor.
That's in my living room right now. But
oh, jeez.
At least you got it hidden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it makes for a great backdrop. So
it does.
I'm in the same boat. Everything on the down low, because it's not so neat and easy.
Movie magic.
That's it. I have occasionally had model car collapses, as some other people here might have experienced.
I know of somebody who experienced that. Quite a woo. Hey, but it gives you a chance to go through some kits and you discover, oh wow, I forgot I had this.
Yep.
I found
I
some
see a lot of
lost
envy for me.
artifacts.
There's a
So-
lot of stuff I would love to have to make decals of. That's the kind of guy I've become over the years when it comes to model kits. I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
a kit that I don't want to build. I see a kit I want to exploit for decals and then just abandon it.
yeah. Same thing with
Unfortunately.
my resin casting. You know, lots of times I gotta get kits because I've gotta make something for that because I know it's popular.
Precisely.
Yeah. So, Neal, oh, I'm calling you Neal. I blew it
That's
already.
fine.
To cover. So it's called Ray's Kits Decals, but this is Neal, who's
Yeah.
okay. Did you buy
Pseudonyms.
did you just come up with the Ray just to?
No, it's a really short story, but it's a nice and dumb one. So it's
Good. So seeing that I blew it already, because we already discussed it, that we were going to call you Ray to keep the confusion down, but you can count on me to mess things up like that. So
it's all right. At this point you could call me anything in between. I will probably still raise my hand and say present. So
oh,
if you start
good.
referring to me as Eric from now on, I'll probably say hello.
Oh, don't get me going. I will.
It's just a bastardization of a nickname that I had back in my gaming days with a crewmate who was stationed in Afghanistan, an 18-year-old kid. And his call sign was Echo X-Ray Sixer. And as a badass, I thought to myself, yes, we're gonna be shooting things together in Call of Duty. I'm gonna be Echo X-Ray Niner. And it just kind of went from that into over the years into Ray, because apparently people just like calling me the shorthand.
Yeah.
And it stuck. Just stuck.
Well, that's cool. Well, you know,
Like
my
I said,
name,
a very short one.
Yeah. Well, you know, my name really isn't Luka, so you know it's Matt. So I'll go by either one. So there.
Oh, Christ, the curtains fling open.
There we go. We might as well. And Joe's just Joe because you know he's Joe.
Yep. You know,
No plot twist.
this person he mentions that he was into gaming with,
Yeah.
he lives in a town only about 5 miles away from me.
Oh yeah.
Talk
Yeah,
about
apparently.
Wow. Small world. Yeah. That's crazy.
Everyone's from Wisconsin.
So as far as Neal, go back to just might as well call you that. So you were as a living or whatever. Do you do graphic arts or something? Was this just something you played with, or how'd you come into? Because I mean, the decal artwork you do looks pretty pro.
It's just a hobby. This whole graphic art stuff for the most part. I fooled around with it since I was 18. I've done
cool.
some side business, if you will, earning a couple bucks on the side here and there. I work in automotive in the dating life, but for the most part, it has nothing to do with this, which makes it kind of more interesting because the researching part, I don't like to get overconfident because at the end of the day, I know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of people giving me little tidbits about anything related to old cars, like badging or a font or whatever. I try to be as accurate as I can be, but at the end of the day, there's always people who will inform me that I was horribly wrong, and that's why I'm kind of glad it's not my main day-to-day job.
Yes, and you should be executed, burned, and your ashes shot into space. I get it all the time. All the time.
Oh man, people can be really pedantic at some point.
Yeah. You gotta get some thick skin, and just when you open yourself up to that. But you know what? They're the loud ones, but they're not the majority because
thankfully,
you know, Joe seems to be selling the heck out of these things.
Yeah,
so
way better than I ever could.
Yeah, and I tell you, you know, it's everybody I've talked to who has actually used the decals have absolutely loved them. I can't wait to slide my first one off. I still haven't gotten to that point. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, bro,
I've got to finish something. I got to have something painted and finished.
I was gonna make the exact joke.
I had two bodies going for the first set of decals I got, and I destroyed both bodies. And so I've moved on to something else I'm working on. So hopefully I'll get to do that one. I got this Camaro.
Luka, never.
What's that?
That never happens to model builders. We run into a problem, and rather than overcoming it, simply jump on to the next project. And what one should I work on?
Yeah, that's why I don't finish anything, because I'm working on one and something will, and then I'll go, well, I've got this over here I've been thinking about, and the squirrels, they always come up a million. Every day you get 4 or 5 million more ideas. It's a tragedy, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so now let's pick on Joe a little bit. Now it's your turn, Joe. How did it all start for you?
I've been building models since the mid 80s, got very active in it in the late 80s and early 90s when I lived in Pittsburgh, was a member of a couple of the model car clubs around there. Shout out to Three Rivers Auto Modelers that I know are still in existence because they bought some of the decals, and another club that no longer exists there. And fell away from modeling a little bit when I went away for the Army. But my dad was kind enough to ship me a care package with basic modeling essentials and some paint. And I remember spray painting in the stairwells of my Army barracks, because then overspray didn't matter because it was plain concrete and Army folks weren't complaining about the paint fumes. So I did modeling then. Once I got out of the military, moved to Wisconsin, kept meaning to get active in modeling, but I kept buying stuff as I meant to build because I was an accidental collector. Kept going for years. I will thank you and HPI guys I stumbled upon you both almost the same time on YouTube, and you both encouraged me to reactivate my modeling muscles, and which was great. I'm like, man, these guys are. I wasn't getting back into it because I kept thinking, oh, my skills aren't good. And finally, you both just encouraged me to jump back in with both feet. So thank you, because it got me back active again to the point where I, at one point, completed 6 models in 2 months, which is the best I've never, and that was unstarted models from start to finish in Wisconsin in November and December. That wasn't easy, but I was inspired. So thank you.
Oh, when I hear stories like that, that's what makes doing all the time I put into having this channel. I'm coming up onto my 6th year in October, or finishing my 6th year. And when I hear stories that whatever I've done on this silly little show that is inspired people to get into the hobby or come back to the hobby and really get inspired to do more or stay with it, man, that makes it worth it right there. I like hearing that. Thank you very much.
I felt guilty that I'm like, oh, no reason why I shouldn't do this. And around that same time as I was getting active again, I'd mentioned to you, I stumbled on, because I started reaching out on YouTube for a lot of other content providers for models, and it was really valuable to me. The muscle car modeler, I saw a Pontiac model that he did that I'm a huge Pontiac fan. I was debating between wearing the company shirt today or my Pontiac racing, and I went with towing the company line. But I asked him, where did you get those decals from? Man, those are awesome. You made a great kit there. And he told me, hey, there's this guy out of Europe, Raised Kits Decals, look him up. Be patient. He provides great decals, but it takes some time. And I got my first order and was like, oh my gosh. And then I discovered all the other stuff he had. And I started thinking, holy crap, I'm going to need to get a second job to support. But I realized too, I'm like, okay, it's expensive to get them to ship them from Europe, and it takes time. Wow, maybe I should see about ordering these in bulk so that I can get more of them over here and maybe help some of my buddies out. So that was in late 2000 that I became a customer of Ray's. And around the same time, I was becoming a stay-at-home dad and looking for some things to keep me busy. And just one afternoon, I'm like, let me just sit down and put out a business model here to Ray and see if we can do something where I can get in bulk orders on a monthly basis so he doesn't have to deal with all these people. I've got a little bit more time on my hands as a stay-at-home dad, so I can handle sales and service and marketing, which is something I've done professionally in my career. So it worked. I'm like, I can take my career, I can take my hobby, and maybe we can move a few decals. And I'm just kind of like, wow, if I can move just enough of them where I can almost get my decals for free or reduced, that'll be cool. So in the beginning,
benefits.
remember I wasn't fully honest with Ray. I told him, yeah, I could probably move 50 to 75 decals a month. I didn't say only. So later on, when all of a sudden my orders were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, he's like, but you told me you could only sell 50 to 75 sets a month. I said, I never said only.
You were playing it safe, being the salesman you are.
Just be careful, because I was confident. I knew how passionate I was about the product and the quality and the options. And I knew a few other modelers that once I got them into their hands, my dad and my brother, avid model builders, they geeked out over them. My brother was one of my early great customers. I think he's probably bought 25 to 30 sets from me. My dad's bought a dozen sets. We've got other customers that just through me have bought. The record right now is up to almost 50 sets of decals from one particular person.
That's awesome.
So I know that people wouldn't keep back if they didn't love what they were getting.
Absolutely. So, well, your marketing, which was, you definitely are good at that, because you really pushed this you've done a real good job pushing this. And you contacted me really early on when you were kind of just really not sure how much you were going to be able to sell. And I was like, I already liked, like I said, it's a hole that needed to be filled. And, the decals that you sent me, and I did a little video on them. Hopefully I sparked something. I did a couple little videos, didn't really use them because, I got this problem, but I showed the artwork. I was like, these are really impressive. You guys got to check them out. And I've even word them out. I've suggested you to so many people, like especially over at Andy's, where, there was always a group of model car builders. I'd go in there and be talking to all these guys when he has those sales of car collections that he'd get.
I'm so jealous that you're in Arizona.
Man, that's 2 times it's happened. It's so much fun. I'm honored that he doesn't know anything about cars, so he asks me to help him, and that's really a cool position for me. And I have a ball going down there and hanging with folks and doing my little videos on the stashes and seeing those kits and going through the boxes and hunting stuff down. But so many guys were, we get into talking about cars, and it's like, I'd love to do this Pontiac. There was a guy who was talking about the Pontiac. He was looking for a particular kit, hoping was there because it had these decals that are really hard to find. And I go, well, if you can't find that, and I pulled up on my phone, check this out. And I pulled up the decal sheet, and he looks at them. Oh man, there was 2 guys. I think BG was there too. That's when BG started contacting you. And yeah. So anytime I could say, hey, you got a problem with doing some muscle car decals, there's the guy. So
thank you.
So this whole thing kind of was with getting these things happening here in the United States was kind of Raul's fault, huh?
Turns out, apparently.
In the right direction.
Yeah. We talked about that. I'll see him at Andy's and we'll BS for a bit like that. We talked about it.
This hobby is very mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I've found talking to a number of different resin casters and going, hey, I've got decals or 3D modelers. We've got decals for the models that you're doing. And they're like, great, we'll put a link to this. That it's like, helping each other to help the hobby, which is nice. I don't feel that there's a lot of animosity and competition.
No.
Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. There's not a whole lot of overlap, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we like to kind of cross promote. I got a couple of kits that work good for decals you guys have. So like that 74 Camaro and the GTO and all that stuff. So, and I got more things that are going to be coming. So you guys, if you don't have decals ready, you're going to have to do some decals. 'Cause I got some cool stuff in the works that's going to be pretty neat. So
I'm excited.
that's good that you have that going, because that's a thing. All of us, between me as a resin caster, you guys do with the decals. I mean, we help each other out. It's cool, and it just makes the hobby more fun. I mean, it's the best time. A lot of people talk about oh man, this hobby was awesome in the 70s or the 80s. It was just so much better. No, man, this is the best time for the hobby. We have the best stuff,
Absolutely.
the technology, and we're all know each other. It's such a small world because of this silly technology here. We're talking to Mr. Ray Neal here, Neal Ray. They're all the way over in the Netherlands. Yeah, that's really cool. And then I'm in Arizona and Joe's in Wisconsin.
That's it.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really cool you guys are doing that. So what go back to you, Neal. So do you have a particular, you got like your favorite car or a model kit that you kind of have multiples of you like building?
Oh boy, that's a good question. It used to be the Camaro, specifically the anything between 73 and 74. Talk to a purist.
Ah,
Anything between 74 and 81. That and the Firebird from that particular generation are just the most gorgeous vehicles ever made. So it's also shamefully the most underrepresented. There's
yes.
only NPC that made a buildable 74 through 77, and the AMT one we don't talk about. That was just hot garbage.
I agree with you on that.
I spent $200 on that thinking it was the second best thing. It was not. It was nowhere near. It was terrible. It was horrid. And I spent another 40 on top of that for decals to make it a 74. And I also couldn't do that because it was hot garbage. But Camaro, the worst ones, as they call them, lowest power, lowest comfort, lowest quality ride. But I find them to be the most endearing vehicles in the world. The first of all, Bumblebee. I mean, come on. Secondly, there is nothing more peak Americana than the IROC Z, or Z, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
Mullet, rock and roll, IROC Z. I mean, come on. That's just 1988 defined in just half of a sentence.
That's for sure. Yeah,
I love those cars.
That is probably, I'm known as a Mustang guy just because I just happen to have two of them. But really, I went, especially the second gen Camaros. I went through a lot of those. The Camaro was always kind of like my favorite car, and I've owned. Now, back in the 80s, I like the Firebird of the third gens, but I had some Z28s. I had a couple Trans Ams, Z28s throughout the year of the 80s. Loved those. But I would have a couple of, 71, 73, 74 Camaros at one time. They used to be really cheap, and I loved those. Back in the 90s, I owned quite a few of those and had some fun. My ex-wife and I, we started a little side business. I was buying just second gen Camaros and Firebirds, and we were dismantling them and going to the swap meets and selling the parts. That was a little business we had, and we just specialized in second gen F-body GM cars. And loved. I just know those cars like the back of my hand.
I just love the statement when they were cheap in the 90s.
Yeah,
and what happened
when they were cheap? And what the heck? Oh, I know. And then I remember, and this cringes me now. It was 1995.
Oh, brother.
I worked at an auto parts store, and this guy was coming in, and we got talking Camaros. He goes, I know this guy who's got a bunch of Camaros in his backyard, and he's got to get them out. The city's after him. And he's got a 69 back there and all this. And I go, I'll go check it out. See, probably get a good deal. I was kind of interested in the 69 Camaro. When I got it, the 69 Camaro was like heavily, horrifically, horribly customized. Bad. It was like, I don't even want it. But there was this really nice little red 75, 76 it was sitting there. Full car. It was beautiful. But it was a lost title, or there was something wrong with the title or something. It wasn't stolen. I got all that worked out, but I bought it for $400 or $300, and I drove it home, drove it into my garage, and it never drove out again because it went out piece by piece. And now it's like, I'd love to have that car today. It was so solid, so there. And I was building a 71, so a lot of the parts from that car worked on mine, so it helped me.
It kind of lived on,
yeah,
in a way.
But that's how it was back then. There was that was a popular car. People were building, Saturday night circle track cars out of them. That was like the most popular.
Very dirt.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did it. Bash those things apart.
Oh,
but yeah, I tell you, when I did my 74 conversion, which works on the AMT 70, 70 and a half, people like to call it. I actually I took the AMT and the MPC 74, 75 Camaros and stuff, and took the best parts out of them, because there were some stuff in the AMTs that were a lot better, a lot more stuff in the MPC that was a lot better. And then I also had to reshape things to make it where that like the nose won't go back onto what it originally came from. It is designed to fit after you cut the nose off of the 70 from AMT, and it fits on there perfect, and the way the back end fits. So it's all engineered that way. So it's just not like just taking parts from the kids and just making a mold of them. I'm pretty proud of that conversion. Oh, Joe, did you ever get that? You just got my GTO, right? You never got that.
Oh, I got GTO and the Le Mans, and there's a bunch of stuff that I've gotten that I need to put to use, because I want to do a 74 Z28, but the problem is when I've gotten the decals, and this has happened a lot, I get them with the intention of, I'm going to get a set for me and I'll sell a couple extra sets. And then I try to be a good guy. And if somebody comes along and says, I really need that for a project, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get to that project for a while. Here, I'll sell you a set because I happen to know a guy and I might be able to get some more down the road.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
But I got a little more selfish. I finally did that now recently because I'm like, people love seeing the pictures of the decals. People like to see the decals themselves on the paper. But more importantly, people want to see the decals on the model.
Yes.
And trying to do a couple of display models. I'm doing a 75 Dodge Dart Sport Light Hang 10 and a 76 Dart Spirit of 76, because both of those were a nice white background with a lot of decals on the interior and exterior. I'm like, okay. And even though I'm a Pontiac guy, I've always kind of liked the Duster and the Dart from the mid 70s. There's a buddy of mine when I drag raced in the beginning had one of those, and just I've always liked the look of them. So I'm like, okay, I need to get something to get me outside of my Pontiac comfort zone. That's a car that I like, that's going to really feature these decals. And I laugh because on the Facebook page, I posted just the interior painted with the decals, just the interior.
Yeah, I saw that.
Likes and responses to that than to most of the stuff that I post. And I'm like, okay, that's proof. Not only are people at swap meets and shows wanting to see them, but people online want to see them put to use. So I'm like, okay, I can be selfish because I'm not doing it just for me.
And I told you the little story when you sent me some pictures of that. I said, I had a neighbor back in the 80s that had one of those hang 10s, and I love the little graphic of the guy surfing on it. I always was intrigued by it. I'd walk by it because he'd always park it like next to my house, and I'd walk by it and look at that, and it was like, oh, that's so cool. What's this hang 10? That's so neat. So I think that's pretty cool of being able to build a model of that.
Yep.
Very neat. Well, listen, we're going to take a little break here. And we were going to get back into some more conversation about all this model car and decal things that we're so into. So, we will be right back.
A lot of you can use the Camaro from 74 to about 81 as an example. I tried to get at least the basics on every sheet. So all of the dash emblems, all of the hubcap or the hub, what the hell? Center caps? They're called center caps, right?
What's that?
The center caps, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see like I said, the emblems, most of the interiors I will for the Firebird, I just figured, turns out there's like 100 different dashes. Just put the silver, the white one, the wooden one, the gold one, just put them all on there, even a black one. Why not?
Oh my goodness.
On there. Just put everything on there and just add the things that were specific to this one model as a bonus, effectively.
Oh, that's cool. Just going for it. I tell you what,
they're expensive.
Hey, everybody, we came. This was we just talking, and some of this I ended up putting in. So we're obviously back. This is interesting stuff. how your whole creativeness comes. And you obviously, what we got talking about was the monogram, because he saw these over here. So we got talking before the videos was rolling. Yeah, am I going out? Yeah. So I got my monogram 82, 83, and my 385s. And one thing that I have been wanting to do with one of those 85s is in 1985 was when they came out with a new color, which is my favorite color combination in all those cars. Excuse me. Was this medium blue metallic with the silver on the ground effects. And there has to be this silver little kind of fuzzy stripe they had around there. And I want to do that car on the monogram 24 scale. And it sounds like you're going to have that for me, huh?
I finished. I figured I would try on 1/16 scale to see how it comes out on print.
Yep.
The little because it was like a dot fade, which
Yeah.
I thought, hey, that's brilliant. That's a technique I could steal. That actually kind of works in print.
Yeah, because it was
comes out.
on the real car. It was actually kind of a dot matrix to create that fade.
Exactly. It wasn't a. I thought always it was just a pure fade, which I know I can't reproduce without it just looking wrong.
Yeah.
And on 1/16, it looks great. I'm so surprised at how good.
Oh my goodness! Now you got me wanting to find. I don't have one of those 1/16 scale. Now I'm going to have to find one.
Oh, they just got re-released.
Yeah. That's right.
Yep. GTA.
Oh boy, yeah.
And we're living in the best era. 3D printing.
Yeah.
You get all the parts.
Boy.
Those.
I'm gonna have to think about that one. Oh, jeez.
Yep.
But I got those three over here.
I say that as I'm literally working the project.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that
just laying on the couch.
Is that the Revell one?
That's the Revell one. Yeah.
Back to your Trans Am. We're talking a little bit about this. Something I noticed on your decal that I'm dying to use on the monogram one, the 24 scale, is I thought this was brilliant. It was the first decal sheet I got from Joe, and it was the Trans Am, the 85 Trans Am, and you did the blackout checkerboard. It's like a checkerboard on those things.
Kind of.
That if you look on the real cars, there's kind of like a lens over the tail lights, and the taillights are kind of a little bit behind. You have the red back there, but it's almost a clear, kind of a smoke colored deal. And it's like a grid pattern. And on the models, they kind of put that like in there they mold it in there. It's very hard to paint and get it looking right. But you got those decals. Oh my goodness. That's like a
drop, place, and let dry.
Oh my goodness. Do you lay them on the inside or the outside of the?
That's the problem. I don't really know. On one hand, I've done it on the 1/25th scale to test it. I did it on the inside, and then I just painted red over it. Did a smoke clear over it, and it looked great. But on the monogram one, I put it on the outside, and it looked almost more believable. But the monogram one also has a bit of a, I want to say, a thicker glass piece going on.
Yeah,
it just looks realer, for lack of a better word, on the outside. It's kind of, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I know on the 90 and the 92 to 2002 one, like the honeycomb one on, I think it's 98 plus, right? That definitely on the outside.
Yeah,
because it just has to be black. But when I look at the larger scale ones, I think on the 16, I would put it on the inside. I think because it is on the inside, I believe.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that I think the monogram one, they hit it where they kind of got the look really good. First of all, I don't know about the version you have. You have the GTA. I have the original version here, the 85 Trans Am. Already all the clear came smoked, so that kind of helped their tail light. And they put the engraving of that grid pattern on the inside, and I believe what would be clear is raised, so you have your grid that's recessed. And one thing I did do is I kind of hit it with like a wash or something from behind, and then kept the raised part would be cleared. It worked pretty good. And if your decal would, which I don't know how difficult that would be, would like fit right into that grid pattern perfect.
It would fit right in.
That'd be nuts.
It would
That
fit
could be
right in.
really-
That's at least what it's designed on. Because
Yeah.
I just traced it and tried to. Because I figured because in real life the taillights they don't exactly match up. I believe they're short by like 2 or 3 segments. I know. I
Yeah.
counted. I had to. At the very least, they fit in like that. On the monogram one, it should be just on it, done, let sit, and should be good to go.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's very cool.
Now it also needs to have a little
That's
silver stripe at the bottom.
that gets me excited because that is a model I have wanted to build for the longest time, and the whole thing was I needed because the kit comes with it's specific to do it, this one black and gold.
Yep.
And so the striping in that is gold and stuff. So yeah, I can't make it work. I need silver is what it would be, right? Yeah, the little fade line and all that's silver.
No, the call-outs and all that will be silver.
Yeah, that would be so awesome.
It's basically done, so
yeah,
awesome.
Man,
awesome.
that'll be get ready, Joe. I'll be hitting you up for that one.
I've been doing a lot of fiber stuff lately. Turns out,
I was about to say I feel a little bad that I have been pushing my Pontiac nature onto Neal a good bit.
Yeah,
bigger scale stuff. It was fortuitous that Revella Germany redid their 1/8 scale 79 Trans Am when they did.
Yes.
Happened, and we were getting early reports from people that the kit decals were in certain ways lacking, that the color was off because it might have been based on a prototype. I'm like, well, Neal, you've done all the artwork for the earlier stuff. Can you do this? He's like, sure. Like, oh, so we can do 1/8 scale 79 Trans Am stuff. And well, while we got the 79, wouldn't it be nice to have the 80 and the 81 as well? And then, ooh, if we could only get you a turbo hood, wouldn't it be great to do the 80 and 81 turbo versions too? So my apologies, but those of you builders can say thank you. We just had a 1/8 scale turbo Trans Am hood shipped from the US to the Netherlands so that Neal had an actual hood from the kit to make sure that the turbo graphics are a perfect fit.
Very nice.
So we'll have to get some pictures of those.
Yeah.
They turned out amazing. I'm not even a large scale model builder, but now these decals are so nice. I bought a 1/8 scale Trans Am. I'm going to get a couple of those 1/16 GTAs. I got to build them myself because the decals just pop.
Yeah. Oh boy. Now I'm trying to stay away from large scale. I don't have the room for it, but now you guys are going to create this problem for me.
I have a problem that I have a absolutely massive Firebird Trans Am box sitting on my living room floor because it doesn't fit under my bed. It doesn't fit in any of my cupboards. It doesn't fit in my closet. It's too big to set sideways, up, backwards. It literally just sits right next to my living room table.
You can't win.
It immigrate to the United States to Wisconsin.
I've literally offered it away for free.
That bad.
I just don't want to pay for the shipping. That's like I spent $165 on this thing. I got it the second that Revella Germany released it on their own website. I bought it. It came here 2 days later. My girlfriend saw it and she said, "You're not keeping that damn thing. It's going away." And I said, "Yes, when I'm done with it, I'm taking it away." Turns out it's unsellable because everyone who wants one has one and they can get it for the same price new. So it's stuck. So maybe one day I'll just
might have to just build it, just grin and bear it, huh?
Just to spare myself the agony of the box.
And then Joe, early on when you sent me that decal sheet, and I think it's to do a red one with silver.
Yep.
And I hounded the heck out of you about the blue, and you were, well, we don't have it yet, but we're working on it. Yeah, but I want it now. And I was like, is this 24th or 25th? And it's like, I want it for that monogram one. That's really exciting. That is going to be
a happy camper.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool because I
got a soft spot for monogram, so they deserve all the love and attention they can get.
Oh, that's awesome. Me too. I do. Especially in the 80s, monogram was kicking out, especially when they were doing what were new cars then. When that 85 came out, it was a new car, and they were churning out all the cool new cars that were in the 80s. And
El Camino on the day of release.
and that Monte Carlo. I love the Monte Carlo.
Mm.
And I remember when they came out with the Buick Grand National, I was
GNX.
so infatuated with that car when that came out. I remember my dad was looking to buy a new car. I go, this is the freaking car you got to get, Dad. You got to get this car.
It's got comfort. It's got speed. It's got everything you want.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of roomy for the kind of car
Oh,
it was, too.
Yeah, it was an awesome car. And Monogram, they never did the Oldsmobile until, now the Revell one came out recently, which was really nice. It's just a bummer that's 25th. I wish they would have done that 24th to go with the Buick and the Chevy. But the right off the bat, Monogram kicked out all those cars that were popular in the 80s right then and there.
The Fox body Mustangs, I believe.
Yeah, the Fox body Mustang. Those were all great kits. I still prefer those. I love those kits. Got lots of them.
Easy to build too. Always went together.
They are
perfectly. That was always the thing that amazed me about them back in the 80s, when they were just more or less puzzles that you had to fidget with and fiddle with to get down to fit perfectly, or just slap on as much glue as you can and hope the hell that it sticks. Monogram was just that snap tight with glue, effectively. I love them.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they I always wanted, I was like, I wish they would do an IROC, Monogram, because there was 25th scale ones, and I got them, and they weren't as good. The MPC and the AMTs, they weren't as good as what Monogram was doing then. But I wanted 24th. I wanted 24th to match all my Firebirds I had built. But there was a snap kit, a 24 scale snap kit of a Camaro, and it was actually pretty good. You can probably see it. I don't know. I have a couple of them up on top. My Camaro's the third row, all the way up on top. The TV show Simon and Simon.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now there's an intro, and I want to put together a video about this because they've released it. That's the kit they put out recently.
Yep.
Which everybody goes, it's a snap kit. No, don't scoff at it. It's very nice.
It's really good. Just like the Impala SS from '94. That was a snap kit that got turned into a glue kit. Same story. Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple, just a perfect little kit.
Yeah, they're that. It's just, and they're really super accurate. Well, that's a 24 scale. But the neat thing about those Simon and Simons, there was a transition because they first did the 82 Camaro.
Yeah.
And then while they were still running that Simon and Simon thing, they switched over and turned it into an 85, which we know there's the differences. The ground effects were bigger in 85. They kind of took the sharp edges off the Camaros and Firebirds. And so one of those kits has an 82 body in it, and the other one has an 85, but it's the same kit.
That's fascinating, actually.
So I hope to do it. And that's what we have today is the 85, what they've just recently put out, which I want to get one of those. I love that. I don't get pissy about snap kits, man, if it looks right.
If it builds a very nice model and allows you to fidget or customize it to your heart's content without it being strictly like a good example would be the re-released 125th scale 81 Camaro.
Oh yeah,
Revell with the hard tires and the weird proportions and all that. Now that is a snap kit that I would say terrible, or at least not good.
Yeah.
Monogram snap kits are just basically glue kits minus the glue.
Yeah.
Fidelity and quality.
Yeah.
I would never short sell them on that. They did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. They did some cool ones. Now I got a snap kit Camaro that I'm doing. I got a set of decals recently from you guys to do an 80 Z28, and that's going on a snap kit, but I'm doing this old AMT snap kit I got that where is it? It's way over there. But it is
Zoom or whatever it was.
Yeah, well they did two versions. They did what you're talking about where it had the whale tail on the back.
Yeah.
They did one that didn't have that. It was just as a matter of fact.
Oh, for real?
There's two of them up there. Well, there's one right there because I took one down. You see it? It's on the Camaro, third row. Yeah, you see it's a red. It was the deck lid. So they made a separate deck lid on those that snaps on. And it would come with either just the regular D80 spoiler or that whale tail one. And that was the difference between the two kits. And I got the one with it's just a Z28. And I've always wanted to do an all white with blue stripes, blue interior. And the nice thing about the snap kits is, it's just a quick, beautiful on the shelf. I just want it sitting on the shelf looking pretty.
That's
Yep.
pretty much how I roll nowadays with these models. They're Hasegawa, but
Oh,
they're
yeah.
hideously complex, but they build so easily, so quickly, and so nicely. They look like die cast, even though I put about 5 minutes of effort into them. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of result I want. I want something that makes me feel like I did a good job, but also looks like I did a good job without me having to worry about doing a good job the whole time. Because that's the
Yeah.
problem. I never will unless the kit actually allows it to be so.
Yeah. Yeah, I am I love Hasegawa and Tamiya and all that other stuff. Because I also I love Porsche 911s. I love
Ooh,
BMWs.
man of
Oh,
taste.
oh boy. I have a Facebook group that's just for it's the Porsche model. Yeah. I love Porsche. I got what the
I'm
heck?
sure you're very happy about that 993. Is that I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But the Targa and the Coupe coming out from
Yeah.
Revell.
What I'm caught. My ears are caught. Okay, there we go. Yeah,
Ooh.
see, here's this this Porsche. Hold on, I gotta get
Police.
yeah, this is a kit I was thinking about building because we got a Porsche build going on right now. And I was gonna do this one, but this was a hard one to get a hold of, actually.
I could imagine.
Because I wanted a a 964 really bad. And that's a beautiful kit. But dude, what's great about this one? This one is one of Hasegawa's real simplified ones. This is almost a snap kit. And it's cool as anything. Of course, I got to make it difficult, and I got to stuff different wheels and tires in it that are way too wide for it. So it means I got to modify suspension and stuff.
But
That's how I roll.
Still go on perfectly. That's the nice thing about Asian wheels is that they're all like they always have the same adapters at the very least. Slap on whatever the hell you want. Just have to shorten the nubs if you want it to be deeper in there.
Yeah. That where I had a clearance because I'm insane, right? I don't know if I told you that how insane I am.
No, so don't worry, it's not noticeable.
I'm trying to fit the wheels and tires onto this kit from the Tamiya 930 turbo wide body.
I see.
The 1988 one.
Yeah, because
I had
wheels that are wider than a car. That one, yeah,
turbo? Yeah. So that's where I'm ridiculous. I mean, the 964 has some rear fender flares, but not like that 930 had.
No, not quite that fast.
Not quite that much. So, and then of course the 930 body. This is where I get really silly. So I got another project going. That is, I took that. The reason why I had those extra tires is because I took the 88 930 turbo body. And the 993 club car, that's about an 87 911 with all the roll cage and everything.
Oh yeah,
that one's really wide, and it's got the fat treaded tires. Beautiful.
It might as well be a dually.
Oh yeah, no kidding. So I took I had this brilliant idea of taking the chassis, all that, and it works well. But I love the 930, and so I'm using that body on that model. And I even had to widen those rear wheels. The fender flares on that 930 had to get even wider to fit on the 993.
They look so ridiculous as they are.
I'm silly with Porsches.
Can allow it. It can allow it though. The body kind of works with that kind of width. There's something weird about it.
Oh yeah.
I will die on that hill. 930 or nothing, but.
Do you do any decals for like any of the 911s or BMWs or any of the European cars?
Let me take a quick look at my own list here. I'm pretty sure I spend an ungodly amount of money on BMW kits from Revell from like the late 80s when they just came out.
Oh yeah. Oh, they were good.
Oh yeah, there we go. The M5 from the late 80s, the E34 type.
Oh boy.
635. I want to do decals for that. I want to do an entire set with all the things you can imagine, from trim to wood grain to trunk stuff.
Oh, geez.
I wanted to get I even wanted to make hood liners and whatnot for the 750 IL, the V12 BMW from '89, I think. And obviously a lot of the earlier 70s Porsches.
The Pontiac guy down there, he's crying.
It's okay. I've only made, my longest list currently of like a single line of decals are the Camaro #1 with, I believe, nearly 30 sets. The Mustang at about 25. I think I got everything from about 70 through, hell, even modern day. But at least the Firebird sits at a nice, comfortable third.
Nah.
Can't complain.
No,
Yeah.
and
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you,
creator, so I could have never done any of this. So when I discovered it, okay, maybe we can match our skills. I can help sell and market if you can design, and we can pool our resources. And I keep joking and saying that Neal's my other brother from another mother, that it's worked out well.
Hell, it could be your son from another mother.
Well, yeah,
that's true. He's a
no
young he's a young guy, young tyke to compare to us. I can't grow that hair anymore.
Joe Pesci would call it a youth.
Still part in the middle and feathering it anymore.
Oh, jeez.
Part keeps getting wider.
I figured if I'm going to go through a Garth phase, I might as well go through that before I hit the midlife crisis.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I did. A little off subject here since we're talking about hair, which is odd. I was about 11 years ago. I was working at a custom motorcycle shop, so there's a lot of bikers there and all that stuff. And it's just like, well, it seemed appropriate. And so I said, before it's all gone, I'm gonna grow my hair long again. And I did it one more time, and I got it past my shoulders. It's so freaking hot here in Phoenix. I was working on models, and I let it all grow because it was kind of like how yours is, Neal. And it was hanging in my face, and I'm working on a model, and I'm doing this, and I'm working, and I'm doing this, and I said, done. Got up, got my clippers, and went to this look, and been that way ever since, man. And that was the end of it.
I got these things. They're what I call my girlfriend's best invention.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I tried those out, but it's still, gosh, it just was.
I mean, to be fair, though, I don't live in Phoenix, Arizona heat. I got that going, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. Back in the days when I did in the 80s, when I had my long hair, most of my jobs were all outside jobs, and I would shove it all up into a hat. We had bigger hats back then. The ones with the netting that were like, what do they call them? Trucker hats. And I could shove my entire and dude, I had freaking long hair, and it was thick.
I imagine that's why they were made. Honestly, I don't know a single trucker from back then that didn't have a mullet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There was a lot of
just wrap it up into a bundle and stick it in.
Oh there. Yeah. All party in the back and business up front. I never did the mullet thing, man. I had dude, come on.
Guilty.
I was trying to be a Steve Harris clone. I was the Iron Maiden thing. I was all about. I was a bass player. I thought you were going to
go with Steve Earle, if anything. Then, but
no, yeah, Steve Harris was my guy, man. I was heavy into, always been into Iron Maiden, and I loved thrash, Metallica, the old Metallica.
I'm right there with you.
Oh man, I love that stuff, and I love the European stuff. We might have to talk music later. I love the European even today. I love the European metal, dude. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed some of the bands that I'm into and listen to. But a lot of them are from your way.
We got the Scandinavians rocking out like
hell yeah, man. That's some brutal stuff. Love it. Love it. What do you listen to, Joe?
You know what? The very first cassette tape I ever bought was Quiet Riot Metal Health. Okay.
It's so much. Bang your head.
The tape broke, and I had to take it back to replace it. So, but I got musical taste. I like some metal. I like some rock. I like some country. I always wanted to play guitar, but didn't get lessons. I took violin lessons early on because I'm like, if I learn to play a stringed instrument,
learned man's guitar
music, and then I can transition to guitar. Well, the transition never happened. So no. I regret that. Maybe before I die, because I had a high school classmate, talented guitarist. Maybe I'll have to talk to him, and I'll have to get a guitar. And because to play an electric guitar would be one of those things I would, be very proud of. So,
well, my good friend, he lives here. I rent him a very small plot of land in my backyard. That's where he needs to just stay there. Anyways, my good friend, he's just turning 50, and I'm finally just teaching him guitar. And he came from his dad recently passed away, and his father, I will say, this is a whole nother story, but his father was the greatest guitar player that ever lived that no one knows about. It was just spectacular. And he has this guitar collection. And I told Mark, dude, he brought home, this is like a $6,000 Gibson custom shop, hollow body. I can't remember which one it is, but he's like, I played all the guitars. I says, keep that one. And he brought it home. I've been teaching him some guitar. He's finally motivated to learn guitar. So
cool.
You're never too old, dude, man. And he's picking it up. He's picking it up real fast. So he'd been around it all his life. But yeah, what's that?
Maybe someday.
Yeah, you never. And you can buy really good guitars for $100 these days. So
hell yeah.
You're watching the Luka C channel on YouTube. Okay, so we got cut off there because I wasn't paying attention to time. And Joe, so you were giving a little rundown of the what you guys got going, the whole business here. Take it away.
The important thing is the main website for Raise Kits Decals. If you go to, I'm sure you'll be able to post a link to it, but Raise Kits, www.raisekits.com/decals gives the complete rundown of everything that Neal has created and is available, except for maybe some of the newest things. And then for those in the US and even to some extent Canada, you can go through my Facebook page, which is Raise Kits Decals North America. So a lot of times people ask, what all do you guys offer? Go to the website. You'll be able to see everything. And a lot of the American buyers will then reach out to me and say, I want you to get me this, this, and this. In a lot of the cases, I've already got it ordered and it's coming, and then I reserve it for them. We're finding these days for Canadian customers, we're kind of leaning towards they may be better off ordering it directly through the Raise Kits Decals website, because shipping to Canada right now is nuts.
Isn't it?
For trying to ship priority mail international envelopes, it's $42.10 right now.
No.
And that's the only safely get the decals insured. It's cheaper for Neal to ship them from the Netherlands to people in Canada with tracking and shipping.
In a box, no less too, for $14.50.
I love the
sweet.
I want to help them, but to be fair and honest, I can help American customers out better, but Canadian and international customers are better off going directly through the website.
Yeah, it seems to work out that way. It's unfortunate,
and I'm all about let's get the great decals in people's hands. I don't care if they come through my hands or not.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is quite honestly, with what you guys are doing, is a good portion of your clientele are the guys in the US.
Yeah.
So I'm always watching what you're saying on the Facebooks. You're constantly going, well, I'm down to this many and we're going to have another order coming in. It's like, wow, he's running out. Like you run out fast. So, and every order you do, you keep ordering more than you did the last time. That is awesome.
I burned through over 300 sets of decals in under 2 weeks with the last order. Jeez. Now, admittedly, a lot of pre-orders that I had to get out to people, but our next orders, already the ones that are coming in, I had to sit down and go over and go, wait a minute, that's reserved and that's reserved and that's reserved. So even if I ordered 250 to 300 sets of decals, over half of those are usually already reserved, that somebody has spoken up for them. So I tell folks, and in a lot of cases too, people say, well, I'm going to be working on this project, this winter. Now's the time to request those decals. And that way, the nice thing is the decal is the last thing that you do on the model.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
On painting it, building it, and have everything ready. Give us some time to get the decals printed and to you, and you're going to be happy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's good business model. No, I'm so it's neat. Like I said before, is you contacted me early on, Joe, and so we've been talking and communicating since you got this started, and it's really neat to see how big it's blown up, and now it's nice to see. Everyone's meeting Neal now, the guy who's the
guy who was
Mr. Ray
for a long time.
So it pretty much, we couldn't have what we got here if it wasn't for you two guys. You guys are a great partnership, and I'm glad to have you on, and we'll probably do this again sometime. You'll probably come up with something crazy, and we'll have to discuss it and all that stuff. But it's definitely I've talked about this product before on my channel. I'm gonna always pump you guys up because I like, it's like Salvino's JR Models. I met them before the first kit came out, and I was watching what they were doing, and I see these. I love these companies that take a risk and try to take care of a little niche that is totally vacant and fill that hole. And it takes a lot of guts to do. And I definitely commend you guys for it and thank you guys for it. And I'm glad it's successful for you because it's something that was needed. Because before you were around, and there was, like we talked about, Keith Marks, who did really good stuff and all that, but it was very limited, and then he kind of vanished. I used to have people come, hey, do you know about Keith Marks or where I can get, because I want to do a this or that, I just want to do a Camaro or I got my buddy Big Bob. You probably see him in some of my Model Car Mafia videos, and he's got this beautiful Mustang, which now the Revell came out with his car. Oh, but he loves muscle cars. He builds all kinds of muscle cars, and he's always going, man, I would love to have gotten this decal and that decal from Keith Marks. And Keith Marks. Dude, I got the people, and I told him about you. So I don't know if he's ordered from you already, or I know he's got his eye on some stuff. So I've been telling a lot of people like that. What's that?
To be fair, as Neal mentioned, he was a little inspired in the beginning by Keith, and I was a customer of Keith's for a long time. But again, there's a lot of stuff that he didn't offer, or he didn't offer it to the extent that I always joke that Neal is meticulous in his design down to the nth degree. Like he talks about every little decal for every little thing. And I sit there and go, oh my God, that's how I'd love to build that. You're not necessarily needing photo etch or all these other things. You can paint detail model, put all these decals on it, and make it pop.
Yeah.
And he doesn't waste space on the decal sheets, because empty space on the decal sheets costs us the same as full space.
Yeah, no kidding. And there are some neat little details that you add, Neal, to that are like awesome. Like I said, this decal sheet I got, it absolutely was amazing. It was a decal sheet to do, which doesn't exist. This car, it was surprising, was the 87 Pontiac 2+2, the street car. And I wanted to do a NASCAR body, but put the street car paint on it. That's what I got the decal sheet for. Of course, I had the body going. I had this went all right, and I dropped it, and it exploded like the Death Star. So that was the end of that project. But there was extra decals in there you had that absolutely blew my mind. That was for a regular mid-'80s Pontiac Grand Prix. So I have a project that I always wanted to do that those decals are going to be playing into that are it's really cool. And that, who the heck would ever have thought of having, like, one thing, we talked about taillights. You had the Pontiac Grand Prix taillight and all the gold trimming or silver. I can't remember if it's gold but it's the trimming. Silver. It's a metallic. It's silver, and it is. The decal is actually silver, and the Grand Prix are silver with a black backing to them. It looks just like the emblems that are put on the real car. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to be using those, and the wood trim of all the gauges and the interior. Absolutely amazing. Really good, paying attention to the detail. Very cool.
I don't know why, but I always have a simple mantra, and that is the headlights and the taillights of a model is where it changes from a toy to a miniature car. They need
exactly.
They need to have some kind of reflection going on. For the 83 and upwards Monte Carlo, they has like this really strange reflector thing going on the inside where it's kind of like stripes.
Yeah.
So I put that on there. I put the trim on the outside. It comes out looking really good and really realistic when I try to myself, at least. So I think a model can live or die on good head and taillight detail.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a really weird point to make, but I live by it. So I tried to go all in on it.
Oh, I'm glad you are, because it benefits the rest of us. Well, guys, I want to thank you guys for both coming on. It was cool. It was an international little show we got going on here.
Breaking
Now we got it
barriers.
together. We got it all together. Thank you very much. This is going to be a neat one. Get that information out to everybody. Go check out Ray's Kits Decals, everyone. If you haven't heard of them, you got to go check them out. You're going to be very happy if you're wanting to build any of these cars. They got all this great stuff. So, you got to know, I ask of the guests, and now there's two of you here. So you guys are going to have to do it together. You got to do the sign off little shtick that I throw around. So are you up for it? Can you do it?
I was liking the keep on sniffing that glue and cutting your fingers.
Oh man, you broke up. You got to do it again. What was that now?
Oh, okay. So keep on sniffing that glue and try not to cut your fingers. And we'll see you in the next video or something like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Your turn. Your turn, Neal. Give it a shot.
Well, now I got that one stuck with me. Keep on glue and cutting your fingers. No, keep on cutting screws.
Hey, I like it all. They could all be T-shirts. All right. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all later. And you know what else we say here? Here's the producers. I'll do my thing. Let's see. That's how we make the sausage. All right.
Oh God.
Hello, my fellow. No problem. No problem. All right. Here we go. Fade in. And that's how we wrap it.